Mr. Smith.
Yeah, what's up? What's good? What's happening? Welcome to the King and Me show. I'm one half of this thing, King.
Hey y'all, it's me, Michelle. How y'all doing?
And here at the King and Me are a regular live stream at 7 US Eastern in which Michelle and I offer a real outlook on a healthy relationship. Real being relatable,
Entertaining,
accountable,
and loving.
First of all, I like this dress.
Excuse me. Let me go ahead.
Hold up.
You can't even really see anything, but just know it's a cute little red dress.
That dress is dressing, babe.
Thank you, baby.
And you look good.
Oh, thank you.
Hey. All right. So we're on multiple platforms. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're also on Perry Production. Shout out to the homie for his platform. If you are watching on any of the platforms and there's a like button, do us a huge favor and hit that like button.
Go ahead, hit it.
Let's jump into the deep questions. I pulled it. I didn't look at it, so I don't know what the question is going to be. And from there, we'll get started and go into our relationship topic, which is conflict resolution and relationships.
All right. The deep question of tonight are, what are some nicknames you've had?
Oh, man. Okay. So I got a big dome, if y'all can't tell. I've been called Sir Hedrick, Eddie Murphy, Prince, and Aaron.
I think the Aaron, was that you? Like you come up with that and then everybody else started like going with it?
Everybody else started going with it because of the Key and Peele skit.
Okay, fair. So in my life, I have been Mickey. Because I love Mickey Mouse. I'm sorry, I've been Shelly. My auntie calls me Shelly Bell. I'm Shell Bell. I have, because that's my social media handle, and some of my kids are able to go, they can do whatever they want and like my stuff, but I don't like their stuff. Or follow them. They call me Shell Bell because of that. Mish, which is one that I do not like, but that is what people Mimi. I have one girl who calls me Mimi, and she has a similar name, so I call her by like the similar short name as well.
Oh, you've had a lot,
but they're all very like my name.
Gotcha.
But one thing you can never call me late.
Never.
Early bird. All right, so early bird is another one that I get because of my last name. So yeah.
All right.
Tis me.
Nice. Good deal. We pulled these questions from a game called Let's Get Deep, Let's Get Deep, but the couples edition. Mm-hmm. And we have a link to it in the description. Yes. The way Michelle look at it is this: anytime you have opportunity to communicate and get to know somebody, use it. What's interesting is that we've been together and we've known each other for less than 2 years.
We've known each other for more than 2 years. We've been together for less than 2 years. It's a month either way.
Yo, because we're past August.
Yeah. So
yeah, my bad.
Yeah. So we've known each other for 25 months, together for 23.
Yeah, no.
So we're right in the middle.
Yeah, I just For some reason, I'm sorry, September is here, and it's came and went fast past that 2-year mark. So wow.
Yeah.
But I bring that up because people assume that you and I have known each other a while. No, not really. But I bring that up because the topic of what we're talking about today is, I think, a culmination of things that you and I have developed separately that we can bring into this relationship, and that, in my opinion, is what's going to help you to grow and develop. So I want to talk about it. It's not a scandalous topic or anything like that, but I believe it's a pillar of what couples need to help their relationship thrive and be healthy. So let's get into it. I got crumbs on my lip.
Just like a little bit. It's nothing bad.
Okay. So while you take a look at that, I'm going to come in here into the comment section, see who we have in the building. We don't have anybody in the building just yet, but that's all right. What's going on?
I just want to make sure I got everything.
Thank you, baby.
Oh, I see what it is.
What is it?
A pimple.
All right. Now,
man, this is how I feel. I'm sorry, y'all. So I got on Facebook so I could share the post. Guess what I see as soon as I come on?
I don't know what that is.
So that's a picture of a high school classmate of mine. Let me see if I can pull it up without having his name. Picture of a high school classmate of mine. He's in Ravens gear in a Ravens stadium with his head down. That's how I'm feeling right now.
No doubt.
Man.
No doubt. Now let's get into it by definition of conflict management. So let's talk about that.
Okay, let's go. Let's go technical. You about to take us to school, ain't you?
Conflict management is a process of handling disagreements and disputes in a way that minimizes negative impact and increases outcomes. That is technical definition of conflict management.
Fancy.
And we're talking about it because relationships are two-way streets, that because you're your own individual self, there could be things that causes conflicts, and how we get through those conflicts can help either hurt the relationship or enrich and help the relationship. So I want you to think about a time in a past relationship that you can think of, and I'm talking specifically someone that you were with romantically, that you had an issue that was just a straight up bad conflict resolution type situation.
All right, well, I do just want to give you a heads up. We seem to be having a little internet issue. A little bit jumpy. A little bit.
Okay. All right. I mean, I see it right here. We can't do anything about the network connection. Right. We're plugged in, so it is what it is. But audio should be fine, so we'll get it.
Okay. I'm sorry. What was your question again?
Conflict resolution. Think about a bad past romantic relationship that you've had that you can look at and go, yeah, we did not get through that well. And it was primarily because we both lacked bad conflict resolution, or one of us lacked bad conflict resolution skills.
I mean, if and call a spade a spade, you know me, accountability is a big thing for me. Okay. And I'm always willing to admit when I was wrong. I have to admit, aside from the relationship that I was in prior to you, I think all relationships prior to that one, I lacked effective communications, thereby lacking effective conflict resolution skills, and I escalated situations.
Ooh, okay.
So, I mean, like, even if it was like super duper minor, something that could have just been resolved with an apology or an explanation, I ain't do it.
Okay, well then pause.
What up?
When and where did you acquire these skills or this knowledge to go, you know what? I gotta work on things about me so that when I come into a situation, I can be the one that lessens the load of why this thing goes bad.
Like, I'm not trying to be cliche, but I will honestly say some things just got better with time.
Okay.
There were a lot of things that happened with growth in the partner that I was with. So you also have to take into consideration to grow you. They're supposed to make you a better person in every way. And when you enter with like all these flaws, And it's not that you have a bad person by your side, but you don't have a person who is built to help you grow, you're not going to grow. You're not going to expand.
Okay. Now, you and I are a little bit older in life.
Yeah.
And I've been in professional situations where professionally I've been taught conflict resolution styles, tips, and things like that. And I've also gone through couples counseling from a prior marriage in which you're also taught conflict resolution in couples therapy. That's the one good thing about couples therapy that I will give kudos to, because outside of that, my personal opinion is that if you ever get to couples therapy, the relationship's already doomed.
Okay.
But whether it's romantic in the workplace or just through regular relationships, there's a couple of different things that I'd like for us to cover. One is how to find the root cause of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is the importance of what's called active listening. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I have. I actually did an example this summer of active listening.
All right, perfect. We're going to go into something that I am going to say I'm weak on, and that's the emotional side of things, right? Why emotional control is key to finding a resolution between you and somebody else, and just ways that we can talk about things to avoid future conflicts that can derail the relationship. So let's get into it. The first thing is trying to figure out if we got static, what's the reason for it? What is the underlying issue of why you and I are having static, right? Are there unmet needs that you're not voicing that's causing you to feel some type of way, or vice versa? Mm-hmm. And how do you communicate that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I think that most issues arise are because something has gone unsaid in general.
Yeah.
Whether it's a need, a desire, whatever, like something has gone unsaid, and that leads to resentment, which then leads to static in between the two people. So were you saying, has there ever been something that like I've encountered or something?
If you can think of examples as we're talking about this stuff, like I would like real world examples from either me, you, somebody in the comment section, that as we hit certain points, you can identify those points and go, oh.
Okay. I want to say, so in my relationship 2 relationships ago, great guy, like I told you, you spoke. I think a man, I think we were both just young. And then he was also 3 years younger than me. So one of the things that kind of went unsaid in the relationship, partially it went unsaid, partially I didn't know. I needed a lot more from him emotionally and physically than he could give, or that he was willing to give at that time. Like maybe he didn't know how to do it. When he and I were together, I was like 27-ish when we got together.
Okay.
So then he was 24 when we got together. So I just think that there were some things that he just didn't know how to do. He just didn't know how to be that type of person at that particular time, which is fine. But I also didn't know everything that I wanted, and I don't think I communicated what I did know very well. And we clashed a lot for like no reason.
So you said earlier that for you it took time to be able to know how to voice that.
Yeah.
And voice it to somebody. Okay.
Because I also had to learn what it was. Like I had to learn my love languages. Like I'm big on love languages, and I had to learn that typically, unless we ask someone what their love languages are, we aren't meeting someone's love language, and we give love the way that we would like to receive it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
So I didn't know that I needed to ask someone or tell someone what my love languages were, and then in turn ask what his were, so that I could make sure that I was meeting and he's giving me love the way I receive it. So for me, love language for me is quality time, right? And physical touch. If you didn't know that, and I'm holding it against you that we're not spending time together, or like you're not holding me, you're not holding my hand or something, and I'm holding that against you, that's unfair because you don't know that that's what I need.
You know what? A specific example came up, and I'm not going to say where I got this from because I want to make sure that the stuff stays private, but the story is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
And in this particular instance, a guy was asking, did he mess up? And what he said was, in this story, him and this lady didn't live together. They had been dating for about 2 years. And at 2.5 year mark, they moved in together. He was a gamer the entire time. But yet, when he was home, he gamed, right? They didn't live together. He was home. They gamed. He said nothing changed about how he gamed when they moved in together. They had their allotted time and stuff. But he said she started feeling as though he felt like she was judging him for how much time he was spending gaming, when he was like, you've known me for 2 years. I've been a gamer this entire time and nothing has changed about my gaming. I give you time, and then when it gets to the evening part, I go game. Like, what is it about us moving in together that caused you to feel different? And he said her words were, well, you're not spending enough quality time with me. And he was like, am I wrong for thinking she's crazy?
You can't quantify quality time because it's the quality. Like, quality and quantity don't typically dwell in the same place.
Okay.
So it's one or the other. I need that quality time. So I need whatever time is ours to be ours. If it's 5 minutes, and we about to make the best out of this 5 minutes. If it's an hour, then we're going to make the best out of it. And then sure, go do whatever, you want to do, be where you feel you need to be.
Shout out to Mr. He said, good evening, everyone. Salute to our brother and sister in the chat. What up, what up, what up? Thank you for popping in.
Hey.
So on the first step of what we're talking about identifying the root problem.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening to Better Than Perfect podcast over the last couple of days, and they titled it, We Had a Fight or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And that was very catchy. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, let's see what they talked about. And it was literally the episode about a conflict that they had. And from what I understood about it, essentially, Nicole and John didn't feel heard with something. And instead of listening to each other, which we're going to talk about active listening later on, things went kind of circular. Now, I have one thing I want to say specifically to this camera and specifically to John and Nicole. And I'm going to say this to you too.
Yes, sir.
I am all for resolving our conflict using different conflict resolution steps that you and I are going to talk about. What is going to be exhausting is they said that they've had 8 to 10 hour tiffs, if you will, of communicating and talking to try to figure out the root cause for one thing. That sounds exhausting to me. I'm not saying it has to break then and there, but if we're spending 8 to 10 hours on something, we're doing something wrong.
I don't agree with that. With what you said, respectfully. Like, I don't agree with that.
Why?
I will say because we have as well. We spent that long trying to resolve a conflict, especially if that conflict took place right before one of us was going to sleep.
I need an example. And I think I know why our internet was messed up. The other laptop was on. It just went off and boom. Now we got green. Anyway, continue.
Remember when you were telling me about your desire to act?
Yes.
And you remember how, well, number one, that was a conversation we had at night.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in my feelings about it. And then the next morning when we picked up. So if you add all that time together, it probably was about like 8 hours of us like not being resolved.
Really?
Yeah, probably.
That's ridiculous.
Life happens.
I'm just saying. Okay. Well, that didn't seem that long. I
mean, we don't do it often.
Yes.
That's not.
No, I'm gonna tell you, We can't do that often. That's exhausting.
But
we should not have marathon conflict resolution situations.
So in my opinion, I don't look at it as a marathon conflict resolution. I will say we don't get deep until like the end of the night. And that really sucks because then we both go to sleep and then we wake up and we still have to like resolve whatever it is. Like it's never anything bad enough that, you know, my anxiety won't let me go to sleep or anything like that. But it's enough that we're still not 100%.
You got any tips for how we can identify the root of the conflict faster before we go to the next thing?
I think one of the greatest things that we can do to be able to identify the root of it is trying to asking intentional yet probing questions. Like I think of that acting thing, right? And I think one way we could have resolved that faster, and it was small and it was so long ago, but I think one of the ways we could have resolved that faster is if you had understood at that particular moment what it was that was triggering to me. Okay. Right? Like it's not about you being successful, it's not about you being an actor or anything like that. But for me, it's those intimate scenes with other people. Like that was a whole thing for me. And it bothered me that you couldn't see that was like what the issue was. You being on screen, you an actor, you whatever it is what it is. And like you hit me with all these like statistics and like how, oh no, actors say like, you know, they're just acting, they don't touch and like all this other stuff. And I'm like, that doesn't help me in my mind, because in my mind, I think kissing someone outside of the person you're in a relationship with, that's my definition of cheating. Like that's a definition of physical cheating.
Do you remember what this whole thing spawned from?
No, not really.
One of Castle's
when the
Castle's plays, and in the play, two people kiss, and then I was like, because I've thought about acting and things like that, and I was like, what if I have a scene where like it's a kissing scene? So me and Michelle talked about it. I was kind of surprised by her response,
because for me, I don't care what everybody else and their mama do on screen, but for me, I view any type of like physical contact like that, outside of your relationship, I view it as cheating. Like there are actors and actresses who don't kiss anyone else on screen. And that does not make them any less of a phenomenal actor or actress because they don't do that. So it's totally possible to do that.
It is possible. And one of the things that I talked about was I felt like that could potentially limit work or limit those acting roles or acting possibilities. And I felt some type of way about it. But her and I talked about it, and she stated her point. I stated my point, and the relationship didn't change from it.
Oh, that's me.
Okay.
Sorry.
Now, Nate said that your video is freezing more than usual tonight. Hey, that was earlier. It should be good now. I can't see it live, but I think we're a lot better now. We had some internet issues, all right? So the second thing when it talks to conflict resolution is active listening. Michelle, what is active listening?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked. So this summer when I went on the symposium, one of the things that we had to do is we had to do role playing with active listening. So active listening is when, number one, you are hearing what a person is saying. You're taking in all the content, but you're not taking it in to respond. You were taking it in just to hear and process what that person is saying. So in the role playing activity that we did, we had to partner up, and I was partnered up with Owen. So we had to partner up and we both had to tell a story. I don't remember exactly what the prompt was for the story, but we had to tell a story. Okay. And we were on a timer, like we had a minute to tell a story. And then
I failed already because I can't tell minute stories.
The other person had to retell the story after it was said and done, and like catch all the important parts and everything like that.
Ooh, all right. So let's practice this. You're a good storyteller. So I'm going to be the active listener. Okay. You have 1 minute.
Give me a prompt.
Tell me about a day that really frustrated you this past year.
This past year, as in the last
12 months.
12 months. A day that really frustrated me. I just dust those days off my shoulders. So.
What made you smile at school today?
Let's see. What made me smile at school today? Okay. All right. So today at school, it was one of our 2 picture days. And I absolutely love picture day because I love putting on red and showing up and just smiling pretty and just being there. It's a tradition that I started back when I first came into the school system. So I wear red for every picture day and it just makes me feel pretty. And one of the things that I love is that typically if I wear like a dressy dress, I will always throw in some tennis shoes with it because that's how I stay true to my homies. And that's what I was able to do today. So I had on this really pretty red dress and I felt really pretty. And then I complemented it with some red and white chucks. And I loved it. I love girly moments, but then I also love it when I can kind of complement the girliness with some tennis shoes and just feel really, really nice.
Okay. So now I'm supposed to recall what I heard?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, Michelle, today you shared with me that it is one of your school's 2 picture days and that you like to dress up and you typically wear red. And if you wear a dress, you like to then bring the outfit together with some tennis shoes, and that dressing up on picture day makes you feel like a girly girl, and that when everything comes together, you feel real cute.
So I think I did this wrong. I think we were both supposed to tell our stories. So like person tells their story and then person A has to retell. So I think that's what it was supposed to be. So I apologize.
Okay, that throws a wrinkle into it.
Oh yeah.
All right, so then let's skip that because we just talked about it. But let's talk about the real life application and how people, when they get into arguments, that's not what happens.
That's not what happens because when you get into an argument, your whole motive right there is to prove the other person wrong. Like that's all you care about in the argument. Like your side matters most, and you want to do whatever you can to prove A, my side matters most, and B, you're wrong. Like that's all people care about when they're in an argument. Like you're not in a good place to be able to receive anything, criticism or otherwise.
Let me tell you about this. I used to be horrible at this active listening stuff. But one of the reasons why, when I think about past, so not in our relationship, past relationships that were just horrible arguments, step 1 is identifying the root problem. One of the things that I would do was that I would be listening to what the other person is saying, but then they're introducing something that to me isn't a root problem of anything. And I would get so focused on that. And then I get thrown a curveball to this other new thing. And in my head, both of those things still aren't the reason of what a problem is, not for what is bothering me right now. So I would fail in the active listening part because I would say that I would do that up until a certain point. And then I would start going, wait, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Well, so respectfully, I think sometimes, and I'm not speaking for every person, every relationship or anything like that, because some people will just like bring up old dirt that hasn't been properly handled before. I'm not disputing the fact that some people will do that. But what I'm also saying is that, what I'm also saying is that sometimes the issue is that old situation that they're bringing up in their mind is the root, or it's getting closer to the root of the situation. So maybe the argument that you had was about let's do something really basic. Maybe the argument was about you not taking out the trash when you said you were going to take out the trash, because I'm thinking in this trash day today. You said you were going to take out the trash, you didn't take out the trash, right? So you and that person get into an argument about you not taking out the trash. To you, it would seem illogical for that person to then bring up 2 weeks ago when you said that you were going to wash the dishes and you didn't wash the dishes, right? That would be illogical to you, right?
To me, correct.
However, the root of the issue that the person is trying to get to is that you're saying you're going to contribute around the house in various ways and you're not contributing. So those sound like they are two completely different things. Like, if we're talking about the trash, why are you talking about the dishes? Like, the two of them don't relate. But in that person's mind, they do relate because it's two household chores that you said you weren't going to do. And then two, physical proximity. The dishes are right next to the trash. So it could be that, like, that also triggered that person's memory to just say, oh yeah, there's that. So, like, I'm recalling this time because in our house, the trash can is located right next to the sink. So I'm recalling that sink incident, which further proves that you don't do housework around the house. And it's coming to my mind because the two of them were close in proximity.
Why not just say that from the jump?
Because, and I can't explain why some people won't, but that's just to say, like, that's what comes to people's minds. Like,
that was a really good example.
You know me in metaphors. Like,
no, that was a really good example.
I'm just saying.
Because that is a common theme that when you're hearing people talk about, man, I was just, and I don't understand, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. But then you hear the other side of the story. Sometimes that third party is able to kind of catch it quicker. But I think it would be dope if the two people in the moment, at least one of the two, can really hear. Mm-hmm. And I almost hate to say this because I'm like, we shouldn't be not like mind readers, but better interpret what's going on. So when it comes to active listening, it talks about what the other person said.
And repeating.
I wonder if by doing that right there, because this is like, we're in step 2.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you do that, how easy it is to have that other person get to that root cause thing.
I think it helps greatly. I think also in repeating it slows down your anger. So sometimes we say a lot of things in anger. Sorry, it's the B6 chat.
Don't worry about it.
Sometimes we say a lot of things in anger, and it's like toothpaste. You know, once it's out, it can't go back in. But if instead of being angry, I take time to repeat what you said, then I'm not giving my mind a chance to process anything angrily. I'm saying something, I'm just repeating what you're saying so that I can hear it and understand it. And it kind of slows, it's like a speed bump that'll slow down me saying anything that I'll regret later.
Okay. One of the next steps in conflict resolution talks about maintaining emotional control. And this is where I'm trash. And here's why. I think that people can easily regulate their emotions. And when you get into some of these spaces about relationship talk, it is generally said that men are the more logical creatures and ladies are the more emotional creatures. This is speaking just in general, right? And I'm all, for me, if you come at me with a lot of emotion stuff, I am going to just sit here and look at you just like this. And I'm probably going to hear 10% of anything that you say to me because I don't hear emotion that well. It overwhelms me. I know that. And I'm able to say that. Emotional things that people throw at me overwhelm me. I didn't know how to say that several years ago. I do now, right? Now, understanding that, I don't want you to feel as though you can't just come at me with emotion. I just need you to understand if it looks and it seems like I'm not listening or understanding you, it is because if you hit me with emotion stuff, I have to slow down what's being said to try to figure out what's actually going on. And that takes me a couple of different layers slower than I think the average person.
So when you think about maintaining emotional control, I think, and so I heard everything that you said when you said that you don't believe that you process emotions at the same rate of speed that the typical person processes it. I hear that and I receive that, but I just need you to know the negative impact that that has.
Oh, please state it.
The negative
help people out.
The negative impact that that has, and I'm not speaking for everyone else, I'm speaking specifically to King. The negative impact that that has is it makes the other person feel as though you're not hearing them.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know of another way to like work through that, because my initial thing is to go too much emotion, back out, go into other room. I don't know what's going on.
But see, if when you do that, then it's kind of like, well, I can't say anything to you. You don't let me express myself. And one of the things you have to be able to do in a relationship is both parties need to be able to express themselves in their best way. Mm-hmm. So that video that like went all the way viral on TikTok and on Instagram of you was saying a regret in your marriage that you had was not speaking up, right?
Yep.
It's kind of the same thing when your face shuts down in the middle of someone being emotional. You are essentially not, it's like you're closing a door on them being able to share and be themselves. So that can breed resentment because now they feel like they can't share and they can't do anything, because if I share, if I say anything, King is going to shut down. He's not going to listen. So instead, I'm just not going to say anything, and King will never truly know how I feel about anything.
Dang. So what's the fix?
The fix isn't easy. The fix is you, and respectfully, the fix is going to come down to you. You got to find a way to push past that brick wall that your mind puts up.
Quit being emotional, babe.
I'm not going to say that to you. Like, we both know me. I'm not going to say that to you. But that is what you have to do. You have to push past that emotional wall that mental wall that comes up to be able to shut down emotion. And I would say this to any person, regardless of gender. If your mind can't process emotions that other people are expressing, in order to thrive in a relationship, you need to find a way to be able to at least hear the other person. I'm not saying you need to agree with what they're saying, but you need to at least be able to hear them. And the greatest form of communication that we have as a business teacher, I'm telling you, the greatest form of communication that we have is our nonverbal communication. Nonverbal says a lot more than verbal does.
Yeah, it does.
Like, I swear I have RBF sometimes.
Especially when you're like paying attention to it.
Exactly. Sometimes I swear I have RBF. And then also, my students know I can just give them a look. Or even if I want them to stop talking, I don't have to say anything. I just have to stand over to the side, not say a single thing, not even make a real face, just stand there. And they know that they're doing something wrong. Children know that they're doing something wrong in general. Your children, school children, whatever. They know that they're doing something wrong when you don't say anything. So especially if you are in the middle of an argument, discussion, conflict with someone else, when you shut down, that instinct of us being a child saying, I'm doing something wrong, kicks in because you shut down and you don't say anything. And that's what mommy does when we've done something wrong. That's what daddy does when we've done something wrong. That's what Mr. So-and-so, my teacher, does when I've done something wrong. They just shut down. They don't say anything because that's the art of discipline that we have learned over the years. Mm-hmm. So we're conditioned to that. So respectfully, I say you got to find a way to push past it. Even if you go into let me repeat what I'm hearing you say, or I want to be able to hear you. I want to be able to address the situation. I want to be able for us to come to a resolution, but I cannot hear you as you were crying. Would you like to take a moment and then we can come back together so that I can hear you, process you, and give you the respect that you were due? Something like that.
Let me be clear. I've gotten better about that. And exactly what she said is what I do now. But I have a stoic look on my face, but for me it has to be stoic because I have to spend a little bit extra energy and effort to concentrate to be able to hear through emotions. So for me, it's it's kind of an intense look because I want to be able to cut through the noise to understand what it is that you're talking about. So Free T asked a question. She said, "What does too much Why does too much emotion scare me? It scares me for two reasons. A, I don't understand it. And I'm just going to say that, just that, and leave that there. I don't understand too much emotion. And then B, I'm trying to figure out if you're using emotion to manipulate me. Not saying that about her or anything, just in general. I've seen too much emotion convince people to do things that have been detrimental to their lives. And I never want to be put into a position that somebody attempts to wind up my batteries about something. And then the next thing you know, my TV's getting turned off. So for me, I've observed how too much emotion from here to here caused this recipient to act out in a way that was not good for them long term. So I hope that answered your question. And thanks for asking that, Free T, by the way. That was a good question. And she said, and can I define too much emotion? Who? Wow.
Yeah, go ahead. She talking to you.
Ooh.
Hey, sis.
Okay, to me, it doesn't make sense to cry about something that didn't physically hurt you or like a death in the family. Okay, cry about that. You just lost a limb or you got inflicted on some real bad pain. Okay, that's a cryable thing. To cry about anything outside of that, I don't understand it.
But see, what you're not considering, number one, people can be empaths. So I'm an empath. I pick up on the emotions of other people around me. For example, we went to your former sister-in-law's retirement party, right?
Mhm.
Literally had never, well, technically I had met her the day before, but that was the first time that I had met her. First time I had met her father in person. I had prayed for him in the past. First time I met her mother. Most of the people in the room, it was the first time I had ever met them, laid eyes on them. But when her father gave her speech, the speech had nothing to do with me. He literally wasn't even looking in my direction. He was looking at his daughter. Your ex-wife was sitting not even next to me. Your whole child was in between us. And I felt overwhelmed with emotions because of the presence of everyone else's emotions in that room.
Did you cry?
I did.
I didn't notice.
Yes, because I was also like, in part of me making sure that your ex-wife was okay, because like she was like boo-hooing. I knew when she got that handkerchief that she was gonna be done.
Wrap.
And I told her as much. I was like, where you get that handkerchief from? And she was like, her dad gave it to her. I was like, oh, you done. You done, sis. Like it's a wrap right now. And I joked her about it, and then I was right. But no, like I joked her about it, and then it really did happen. But it was overwhelming, not because the words resonated with me, not because I had known your sister-in-law all of my life and like, oh, this is such a monumental thing. It was picking up on the emotions of other people around me. Like I pick up on the emotions of other people around me. And that's not a bad thing, but that is to say that there are some people like that. Like the majority of the women on my dad's side of the family are like that. We pick up on the emotions of everyone around you. I promise you, if that room had been filled with my family, we all would have been boohooing. Like Kleenex would have made some money that day. Like that's just how much we are emotional. We pick up on the emotions of others. So for you to say like crying at something that doesn't directly impact you, there are people where everything impacts us because we feel the weight, good or bad, of what other people close to us are bearing. So I feel the weight of things that like my sisters are going through, even if I'm not close to them in proximity or relationship wise. I feel the weight of things going like things.
Why?
Because I'm an empath. Like I take on the emotions of other people around me.
Why?
I don't know. It wasn't something I asked for. I was not standing in line one day and I was like, God, let me take on the emotions of other people around me. I didn't do that, but it does make me better, a better person to be able to understand and extend empathy to people because I can feel what they're going through.
Free T put up the comment and I'm going to read it. She said, it doesn't make sense to cry about ... which is what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, but you can't tell someone what to cry about or how to feel. 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And Michelle knows that while I do feel that way, I also do understand that I can't tell somebody how to feel, but it's just like it's one of those things that it took me a while to develop things to understand of how to be there for somebody that is coming at something with me about something that I don't understand. And then she says, I cry over random people on the internet all the time.
I mean, that's how
y'all are related.
We are, but that's how you're able to like see something and react to it, because with the same logic,
I get some of that water.
oh yeah,
With
the same logic, then why are you laughing over things that you see on the internet? Why do you get upset over things that you see on the internet? It's just your emotion, your ability to cry over the things that you see other people going through. It doesn't impact you, but the other emotions do. The anger still impacts you. The disappointment still impacts you. The humor still impacts you. We're just saying we react to sadness as well. Like we add in sadness.
Have you seen A League of Their Own?
Of course, I love that movie.
There's no crying in baseball.
Of course, I love that movie. I felt like Gina Davis was an underrated actress. I absolutely loved her.
Do you think that employing things like deep breathing or taking a breath before re-engaging with somebody can help with emotional regulation?
Oh, 100%. I feel like you need to do that in general. I think so many times some of the conflict that we get in is that we respond too quickly to things that other people say. And I will say I'm 100% guilty of that. When I was younger, I 100% just responded off the cuff. I would tell people all the time, I, you know, God loved me, I was saved, but I'm still like God's still working on me, because I just said whatever came to my mind and I had no regrets about it.
Shout out to Wendy Early. Wendy's in the building, said,
hey, Sil!
Suggestion for King. If you have a deer in the headlight look, you can respond by saying, I acknowledge you and I hear you. I'm going to need some time to process this conversation.
That's my Sil.
100% right. And I think I do a good job of that now, but I'd like to hear your thoughts. Has there ever been a time where I didn't process something and it just looked like you were talking to a brick wall and I didn't say, yeah, babe, I need some time?
So I'm going to be honest with you, okay?
But please do. So, Paul, something that I like about our relationship is that you can be critical, because I know you're not being critical to put me down. You're looking at things that can be stuff for both of us to improve. You shared something with me while I was doing a live stream yesterday, and I was just like, oh, yeah, no, I actually thought about that myself. So your analysis of that was pretty spot on. You're my co-producer in this thing called life. So please be critical, because I know you're only looking at improving stuff for both of us.
Okay. So thank you. Mm-hmm. What I will say is this. I think in person, you do a phenomenal job of what my Sil just said. You do an absolutely phenomenal job. I can see your reaction and seeing how you're responding, coupled with the words 100%. Okay. I will say over the phone and via text message, it is not the same thing.
Because, okay. Yes.
In love. Yes. It's not the same thing. Like, I think think that's what you be trying to convey. But because, like, first of all, a lot of things get lost in communication via text message and phone, and email, and any other form of written things. A lot of things get lost in the sauce. So that's why we just gonna rule out them text messages right now. Like, we've already established there are some conversations that you and I should never have via text message, because you can't tell inflection, you can't tell what a person is thinking or feeling.
Yes.
But I think we're also going to have to put some restrictions on that. If we're going to have some conversations by phone, it has to be by FaceTime, so that we can see, mainly I can see your facial expression, because I think in your mind, like via phone, you think you're saying what Wendy just said, but in reality, you like, yeah, I don't get it and I don't care. Like,
yeah, no, that's perfect.
Respectfully, that's
I'm only laughing because yes,
yeah.
I am aware of that, and really, that's a whole bar. Like, not just for us, but to anybody else out there. Like, if it just doesn't seem like over the phone things are going circular. Maybe y'all are apart for work or a trip or
11-day
something.
trip.
Or you don't live together, right? But you're trying to build towards a life together, whatever that looks for you. Because some people, they say, hey, I want to live here, you live here, we'll do life together, just not cohabitating,
right?
And we said this on this live stream. You said very early on, you don't want to be with somebody and not cohabitate with them. And as a person that received that, I have to be somebody that can hear that and go, yeah, I can live with this person, or go, yeah, nah, that can't work. Anyway, no, thank you. I'm okay with us talking about this stuff.
I know. It's just, unless it's that a kid failed his test, I don't like giving bad news. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Free T said, Michelle was like, since you asked. All right, let's see. I'm not sure how to read this comment. I don't know if it's spam or not. Can you go on
spammy to me.
YouTube and check that out? All right.
Wait. I don't know. Is that?
Yeah, Maui Logic. I'm not understanding.
Oh, okay. Hone, see how there's honest. See how there's a T at the end of it. Check one's natal chart for T patterns with the partners. I'm not 100% sure what it means, but I'm
from Alabama. You might have to simplify that one for me a whole
lot.
Oh,
no, easier. That's what I thought. Okay, so it really was Wendy, because I was like, Maui Logic does seem like, okay, she said it's not spam. So it really is my sister-in-law. She said, see how there's a T on the end of it. Check one's natal chart for T patterns with partners. Astrological honesty. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look this one up.
What are you saying?
I'm gonna have to look it up. Now, while I do that, this next point. So there's like 7 key things to talk about with this.
Okay.
And Better Than Perfect talked about this one as well.
Oh, sorry. 2 partners need to check their honesty with each other.
And she said that's not her.
Oh, it's not her. Oh, okay. Sorry. I saw Maui and thought you. Okay.
All right. I'm gonna see how there's a T at the end of honesty. I'm gonna have to look this one up.
2 partners need to check their honesty with each other.
T patterns with for chart discussion. Okay.
I'll screenshot.
Yeah. Screenshot that so we can come back to it. Hey, this is why we do this. Where are you checking in from, Maui? Our show is international. We got somebody that watches from Germany, which is dope. And he might be listening now too. This next point is about, and this is my favorite because it is probably at the mountain of hardest things to do besides identifying the root cause, is being able to use I statements instead of, but you.
I feel.
So talk us through what an I statement is for people, and let's try to have a quick little skit on how you can use an I statement versus blaming somebody else.
Okay. So the whole point of an I statement is you accepting accountability in the midst of whatever you're going through. So you're not putting anything on that other person, but you are accepting your role. So let's say you and someone else have an argument, a disagreement, it doesn't matter the relationship. You and someone else have an argument, a disagreement. Instead of you saying, you do this, you did this, like this is all the things you're doing, talk about how you are feeling, what you are seeing. And this is kind of the reverse of everything we've ever learned, which is to speak about ourselves. But in speaking about you and saying how you are perceiving a situation, your feelings are always valid. So it then becomes, are you going to acknowledge the feelings that I'm expressing, or are you going to disregard my feelings? And if you disregard my feelings, then we have a bigger issue that exists between the two of us.
But Michelle, every time you talk about inequalities, it don't always apply to you. Why do you always bring this stuff up?
I feel like the best way for you to understand how I'm feeling is for me to express or to show you inequalities that exist in different situations, because it's my hope that in that you'll see how I feel.
Good job. That was a skit, by the way.
Yes, 100%. Except we both do inequity.
Ooh, say it again.
Inequity.
The I statements, critical. If you can yourself use an I statement every single time, I believe that you can stop a conflict in its tracks the moment you can continue to use an I statement versus blaming or even highlighting what the person said, but using the words you in it. Try to talk more about what you hear, what you feel, which I don't.
He hates I
feel
he
things.
Hates
I feel like it drives me nuts. But talk more about what you hear. So what I heard was, anytime I don't do what I said I was going to do, I don't take out the trash, it makes you, oh no, because you can't say it makes you feel some type of way.
It does.
Can you?
So
it
makes me feel like you believe that only I am supposed to do housework. Like it's above you, it's beneath you to be able to do that. So shout out to Maui Logic, who is phoning in from Maui.
Maui, that's what's
Hawaii.
up. That's what's up. I appreciate that, Maui.
So what I will say is this. I feel statements require a high level of emotional IQ.
Yes.
On both partners.
Both.
So number one, the person who is making the I feel statements or the I statements has to be at a level of maturity where they recognize that, one, there's a conflict taking place, but B, they want a resolution. They're seeking a resolution. Also, the person making the I feel statements has to be emotionally mature enough to want to not call out the other person, but to call out their role in it so that they can modify things. Again, so that a resolution can come. The other person in that conflict who's hearing the I feel statements can't take that as well, I don't care how you feel. Like this isn't about that. Like again, you have to be emotionally mature to be able to receive those I feel statements and then also still look introspectively. So I feel is supposed to make both people look at their role in an argument. Sorry, their individual role in conflict, not at what the other person is saying or doing. It's supposed to make them look introspectively. So, King, you didn't take out the trash, and 2 weeks ago you didn't do the dishes when you said you were going to do it. And frankly, I feel as though you don't value me and you feel like you are above doing housework and house chores.
When you ask me in the middle of a Ravens game, no, I'm not going to take out I can take out the trash at the end when the game's done. What are you talking about?
I feel like you're not sensitive. You're not appreciating or understanding the fact that I asked you before the game started and that the aroma is really strong. And I would like you to do this now so that I can continue on with the other things that I'm doing for both of us in this household.
You're good. You're good. Now, okay, but are you good because you're invested in this relationship? I talked about this before you and I went live. I said my degree of what I bring to a conflict resolution depends on how much I actually like you. Like, I know these techniques.
Oh yeah, I don't do this for everybody.
I use these techniques all, I've been taught this stuff.
I don't use this for
But
everybody.
I'm gonna raise my hand. I don't practice it with everybody. Because if I don't really like you like that, I don't care to use conflict resolution. I could step on you with my shoe if I don't like you and be okay with that.
Okay, so remember the part, minutes ago where I said that I recognized the role that I had in my other relationships and why they failed. It's because these things weren't foreign to me. Like, for 6 whole months, I was a psych major in college. 6 months.
Ooh,
Like,
you know how I feel about dating psych people.
It was 6 months. I partied the majority of the time, which is why I didn't graduate with a psych degree.
Okay.
And I've watched every episode of Law and Order, so
Continue.
I'm good. And Law and Order Criminal Intent.
But
okay, I'm getting there. So with that, I will say I do this because I genuinely care. Like, I do not want to lose you. So I am actively putting these things into practice. I know about them. Have I always done them? Sure, I haven't.
Yep, same. I'll raise my hand. Not all the time.
But I care about you and I care about our relationship. So if we ever get into that situation, this is what I'm going to resort to. And because I know you don't process emotions like that, I do try to rein in my emotions that will come out in the midst of like anger. So anything else that may try to come out during anger, I try to rein those in. Not that I'm trying to hold something back from you, but that I don't feel you need the brunt of that. You need, because of how you process things, you need the facts, you need the logical things. You don't need the emotion. So as much as I can, I'll try to hold on to something until I can give it to you in a logical way instead of a purely emotional way. And again, not that I'm changing who I am or what I'm bringing to our relationship.
It's understanding the other person as well.
And respecting you.
And respecting that. And that actually leads into the next thing, which is finding common ground. So it's not just about what you're doing, how you're feeling. If you want to try to get through to somebody, you have to be able to find common ground. Too often, and I'm trying to speak until I get this up on the screen. Too often, people want to win, or they want to be heard so much that they forget that the other person that they're talking to is not like them. Mm-hmm. So they're not really thinking about what you just said. How can I relay this in a way that he can understand?
Right.
How can I relay this in a way that she can hear me so that we can work through this? What are things that people can do so that they can find common ground early besides what you just said? Is there anything else?
To find common ground early, I think the biggest thing is don't immediately go to anger. And that is so much easier said than done. Do not immediately go to anger. If you go to anger, you're not going to be thinking about employing any of these things that we just mentioned. You're going to go straight to anger. And when you're at anger, you're just there, right? There's nothing you can do. But I feel like if you take time, like analogy that's coming to mind, if you were trying to start a fire, you can either douse logs with a whole lot of kerosene and then just throw a match on it and it just happens, or you can slowly build with embers and like just go from there. I think you can get to the resolution you are desiring without going to a full-blown fire if you just kindle embers when they're there, right? So if you're trying not to start a fire, get to those embers before they become a full-blown fire.
Okay. I said that you and John from Better Than Perfect podcast, y'all be hitting these live streams with analogies.
I have metaphors for everything, and it just comes to me.
All right, let's see.
So I will say Peter's in the building. I don't know if you can see that.
What up?
I'm sorry, Pete's in the building.
What up, Pete? Let's see. Let me scroll through here. The next thing that we have up, and we're literally almost at the end. What I thought was important with these 7 steps: setting boundaries and taking space when needed. I am somebody that, as I've said, if you come at me with too much emotion, I'm shut down. Yeah, I shut down.
You shut down.
I shut down.
There's no other way to put it. Yeah.
And when I say, ooh, like I might need to process this one, I can't still be in this space because I can still I'm still being hit with the emotion stuff and I can't process it. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go over here and sit down for a second.
Respectfully, that's how we get to 8 to 10 hours of conflict resolution. Because it's still that timer's still going until the resolution is reached. So I hear what you're saying about John and Nicole, but I'm telling you, that's how we get to 8 to 10 plus hours of conflict resolution, because the issue hasn't been resolved. Just because you take the much needed space and boundaries that you need, it's still a looming issue out there.
Interesting, because I don't look at it as the clock is still going. To me,
to
me, that clock is paused because we're not actively engaging. I'm passively working through my process over here.
So, okay, let's look at it in sports, the way that you process and understand things, right? So when the game starts, if kickoff is at 1:15, right? It doesn't matter how long the actual playing clock is running. So the playing clock would be the time on the actual argument. The reality is real time is still, baby, I told you, I got this. I got this.
That clicked. That clicked.
Real time is still going, even though the play clock is not going. So yeah, it's still like 8 to 10 hours. I don't think John and Nicole are sitting down for 8 to 10 hours continuously having discussions. No, it just takes from the moment they started, from the moment that game started until the moment that game ended, it was 8 to 10 hours, but it could have only been like 2 hours of playing time.
Okay.
Hello.
I don't want to belabor this point too much, but I do want to say when it comes to setting boundaries and taking space when needed, don't look at it as you have to take that space and that you're getting away from the other person. No, sometimes at least for me, it really is about getting to a less noisier headspace to finish something out.
Sorry.
Really, I saw that there was a typo.
It's not that it was a typo. It just took more than you wanted.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say don't worry about it because we're gonna get to the next one.
That's an OCD thing. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it took all of that.
All right. This last part. If you were in the military like me, or I believe as an educator, you would use it is developing a plan to move forward. You should not continue to do things and not learn from it.
Right, 100%.
So if we're in a relationship and we experience something, we should learn from it. And in the military, you have what's called after action reports. I think that it's important to have a come together session where you talk about what occurred.
Yep.
See if there was anything that was missed in the midst of all of that, mist in the mist. Yeah, I said it right.
You did.
And then have each other state, what it is that y'all kind of got from that so that it doesn't happen again. Example, I talked about what occurred when you and I went down to Texas. And
Texas.
And in my opinion, I was like, I don't see a reason why this should happen again. Now, there are things that you can't control that I understand a whole lot better now.
Telling you, that Pixar movie.
Yet at the same time, I'm still thinking, but we've experienced it. We've talked about it. This shouldn't happen again. So to go kind of along with that is you should have that after action. You should have that conversation and y'all should develop a plan. Now, this is how you can tell if you really care about that relationship. How often do y'all do that? And how often is it implemented? I'm going to say this right on Jump Street. My ex sometimes watches our live streams. I'm going to call her out about something.
Oh, goodness.
One of the things that was talked about in couples therapy is I felt as though I was being disrespected when I would be interrupted. I would be mid-thought about something or discussion about something, and she would just cut me off. And that was something that the therapist identified as a big thing. So he would give, and you can use anything, but in his instance, he had this checkerboard thing that was like, he called it the floor. So when you have the floor, the other person shuts up. And then when you're done, you can say, I am done with the floor. Do you want the floor? Yes. You take the floor. Okay. And then you say, I have the floor. And when you say the words, I have the floor, I can't say anything until you're done with the floor. Now, you can say you've got the floor, whatever, but literally it's just when I'm talking, the other person shuts up.
Well, see, what you're doing sounds a lot like what we're using in school districts all around the country and specifically in the state of Maryland called restorative circle. So a restorative circle typically it has the offender and the victim and maybe another one or two stakeholders and then someone who's kind of like doing mediation for the whole thing. And there's definitely something that is passed around that allows for people to be able to share their thoughts and share their feelings uninterrupted. And I say this very, very respectfully, but if this is something that we are teaching kids how to do now, then adults should already be well versed in how to do it.
Yes. And my point in sharing my story on something was that I talked about having a plan, and you could tell if somebody legit cares about you because they'll do those things. And I would get frustrated because I would come out of therapy and I wasn't seeing that one thing be implemented. So I'm like, why are we in therapy if you don't care to respect the floor? Like, I remember one time arguing and yelling about the freaking floor. So I share that to say, as you're going through conflict resolution tips and things like that Michelle and I have talked about, this isn't anything that we've developed. No. This is tried and true methods that researchers have put time and effort into that talks about how to get through conflict resolution. In the moment, if you can't regulate your emotions about something that you're having an issue about, a lot of the time that stuff just goes out the window. But if you do care about the other person, you will find a way to identify the root cause. Don't blame the other person. Use your I statements, active listen, and
give space and boundaries.
Give space and boundaries. And then when that's all said and done, do that after action report and develop that plan for moving forward.
Essentially, what you just said is you need to be emotionally mature and healthy in order to be in a relationship.
Adults aren't finding that to be doable. People are getting into relationships not emotionally mature, men and women. and we're seeing the same circular things occur
over and over again.
Over and over again.
All right, let's check these chats. See if we got anything. That was some of my football analogy.
Yep. Man. All right. Let me keep going. And
all right, so
we're here.
What are we doing next week? What's happening next week?
So next week, y'all, we are not live. We are not live.
Oh, devastation.
We are going to have a pre-recorded video that Michelle and I did a couple of weeks back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be posted at the same time. So be sure to tap in, tune in while it's live.
Good. It was a good episode, y'all. You have to go watch it
or hit the replay. I'll be actually watching while it's live.
I'll have it playing. I'm gonna be real honest and call a spade a spade. Since I know it's pre-recorded, I'm gonna go to bed early next week.
Do that
because I'm old and I get up super duper early.
Do that.
I'm gonna go to bed early.
It's all good, but I'm
gonna have it play it now.
I'll be traveling. Therefore, we cannot get the live stream done person to person, face to face, like how we are now. So that's all we have for today. If you hadn't hit the like button yet, please hit that like button.
Hit it. And subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel. Maui, if you are not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. If you 6'2" and 280 pounds, brick house your way into that subscribe button.
I love you, baby.
No, but we appreciate the engagement. We appreciate the comments. Wendy, it's been a minute.
I know. I'm so happy to see you.
It was good to see you.
I love you. So if you're still watching, I love you. I love you. I love you.
Free T, I think Michelle hit you up about what we're doing over the holidays.
Ooh, did I?
If you hadn't, then you should. Because
hold on, wait.
Because yes. And
I did.
Okay.
Oh, good. I did.
I thought you did. I didn't want to call you out. Like, I was pretty sure you did.
I did.
But I was
like, wait a minute, did I?
Yeah. Remind both of y'all.
Text message thread. Yes, I did.
No doubt. And thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you all so much. Have a great evening. If this is your first time tuning in, then you about to find out what we do in order to say good night. Yes, I did. Girl, I had to pull it up. It was August 5th, but I did say something. Yes, ma'am.
No doubt. All right.
If you're new to the show, we say farewell to y'all in the same way every episode. You ready?
I am.
Okay.
Peace.
Bye, y'all.